Look, let's just cut the nonsense right now because honestly, this isn't even a challenge. You have to understand the reality here. If you want to sit there and claim Michael Jordan is the undisputed GOAT, the fiercest competitor to ever lace them up, fine. But I'm about to give you the raw, unfiltered truth that kills that narrative once and for all. He is supposed to be the greatest player of all time, please. He isn't number one in a single offensive category. Not one. He isn't sitting at the top of any defensive category either. So how? And don't come at me with, oh, but he won championships. That's not the whole story. Rasheed Wallace just crossed a line that absolutely nobody saw coming, and he's not looking back. The NBA icon went completely off script during a recent sit-down, calling out LeBron James in a fashion that has left the entire basketball community speechless. You can't earn respect, like MJ Wallace declared. With just those 7 words, he threw gasoline on the most toxic, heated debate in sports history. So, what exactly happened behind closed doors to make Sheed finally snap like this? And why is LeBron maintaining a deafening silence while the internet tears itself apart? Listen to me, this isn't just another clickbait hot take from a talking head. This is deeply personal. We're talking about Michael Jordan, his airness. Depending on who you ask, he's universally seen as a god on the court and one of the greatest defenders to ever live. But former NBA champion Rasheed Wallace, he has a very different, very controversial perspective on that legacy. Let's roll the tape. Mike wasn't all that good of a defender, Wallace insisted. You talk about 10 all-defensive teams, that's just the league protecting their golden boy. Yeah, we like Mike, so we're going to put him on the list. I'm talking about actually being out there in the trenches. I've seen this man get his ass busted in matchups where he couldn't stop a nosebleed. Let's be real for a second. When Rasheed Wallace opens his mouth, you stop and listen. He isn't some suit-wearing analyst desperate for viral clips. This is a 4-time All-Star, a legitimate NBA champion, a warrior who went toe-to-toe with the absolute best and never backed down an inch. Sheed built his entire reputation on brutal, unfiltered honesty, sometimes to his own detriment. The man got ejected more than almost anyone in league history simply because he refused to bite his tongue. So when he speaks on what makes a player great, it carries serious weight. Fast forward to right now, early 2025, LeBron James is sitting on the throne of the basketball world as the all-time leading scorer. 4 rings, 4 MVPs, and 2 decades of pure, unadulterated dominance. By every single statistical metric available, he has cemented himself as one of the greatest to ever touch a basketball. His diehard fans call him the GOAT. His critics, they've always whispered their doubts. But absolutely nobody expected Rasheed Wallace to come out swinging with this level of ferocity. In a recent conversation that hasn't even fully hit the mainstream media cycle yet, Wallace didn't just question LeBron's legacy, he completely dismantled it. And the way he did it was cold, calculated, and completely unapologetic. This wasn't a slip of the tongue or a heat-of-the-moment mistake. This was a precision strike. Wallace looked dead into the camera and said something that LeBron's inner circle is desperately trying to bury. The question burning in everyone's mind now is simple. What pushed Sheed to finally voice what so many legends have been thinking in private for years? Hold up. We've got the first annual event coming your way. The Gills Arena Shootout presented by Underdog Fantasy is dropping soon, and you need to pull up. I was just about to ask, can I get in on this? $100,000 goes to the winner. Winner takes all, baby. And the entry fee? Absolutely zero. Free. You just have to show up and ball out. Just pull up. Man, I need to get my shots up in the gym right now. All you fans out there can sign up right now on the Gills Arena Discord page for your shot at glory. We also have our open tryout this Saturday, December 16th at 9 o'clock. Meet us at the Discord in Chatsworth. We're taking the top 16. Now, here's where things get really spicy. Wallace sat down for what was supposed to be a chill, casual chat about his glory days, old war stories, and how the game has evolved. Standard podcast stuff, right? But somewhere in the thick of that discussion, the energy shifted. The topic turned to modern greatness, to legacy, and inevitably to LeBron James. And that is the exact moment Rasheed Wallace's entire demeanor flipped. You can't earn respect, like MJ Wallace said, leaning in, his voice dropping to that dangerous tone he used to have seconds before getting a technical. You just can't do it. I don't care how many points you put on the board. I don't care how many super teams you jump to. That doesn't buy you real respect in this league. It's not about the empire you build around yourself to make it easy. It's about what you prove when the world is against you and you have nothing. Let that sink in for a second. Wallace didn't say LeBron wasn't talented. He said LeBron hasn't earned his stripes the same way. That is a completely different level of disrespect. That is questioning the very foundation that LeBron's entire career stands on. And he didn't stop there. Michael Jordan walked into Chicago and said, I'm going to make this work no matter what. He didn't call up his boys and say, hey, let's all link up in South Beach and take the easy road. He didn't bounce around the map chasing the perfect situation. He stayed put and he made the situation perfect. That is the difference. The room went dead silent. You could practically feel the static radiating through the screen. And it wasn't just because Rasheed Wallace was throwing shade. He was taking a sledgehammer to the one topic LeBron's camp has desperately tried to bury. We are talking about the decision, the invention of the super team era, and the growing shadowy narrative that King James didn't just earn his rings, he engineered them to avoid the grind. It took less than 2 hours for the internet to catch fire, with clips ripping through timelines like a digital shockwave. Twitter absolutely descended into civil war. The LeBron stans immediately went on the offensive, labeling Wallace a bitter, washed-up old head who just can't let go of the glory days. But the OGs, the ones who actually witnessed Jordan's reign of terror in real time, they sat back and nodded. Finally, someone had the guts to say the quiet part out loud. And here is the reality check nobody wants to face. Wallace is a hybrid. He went to war against Jordan in his absolute prime, and then he banged in the paint with LeBron in the mid-2000s. He is one of the rare human beings on this planet with the clearance to compare those two titans because he has the battle scars to prove it. So when Sheed looks into the camera and tells you LeBron lacks that MJ-level respect, that isn't nostalgia talking. That is verified, first-hand intel from the trenches. But hold up. Before we dissect the fallout, you need to see exactly what triggered this meltdown. Watch this and pay attention to the conviction in his voice. In my honest opinion, look, Mike wasn't really that elite of a defender. You heard me. Mike who? Michael Jordan. Defensive Player of the Year? Come on, man. All that hype, that was basically the league looking out for him. I think it was, 10 all-defensive teams? That is the Michael Jordan mythology, but you know what that really is? Do you know what's actually happening there? That is the NBA brand. We like Mike, so we're going to put him on a pedestal. I'm talking about actual impact on the floor, not the marketing. Wow. Shots fired. So, what is the core difference between earning stripes the Jordan way versus the LeBron method? Wallace stripped away the glitz and broke it down in a way that is going to make a massive portion of the NBA fan base squirm in their seats. When Michael took an L, he didn't run from the grind. Wallace made that crystal clear. He didn't look at his roster and say, these guys aren't good enough for my legacy. No. Jordan looked in the mirror and decided, I am not lethal enough yet. He came back the next season hungrier, meaner, and completely psychotic about winning. He systematically dismantled the bad boy Pistons after they beat him physically and mentally for years. He went through Barkley, through Malone, through the legends. He snatched every single ring by force. Nobody handed his airness a single thing. Now, hold that image and contrast it with LeBron's behavior after flaming out in the finals during his first Cleveland run. What was the move? He bailed. He went on national TV to orchestrate the biggest betrayal in sports history, taking his talents to South Beach to stack the deck with 2 other prime superstars. Yeah, he got the hardware in Miami. Nobody denies the rings. But Wallace's point cuts deeper. Those championships have a different texture to them. They feel synthetic, manufactured. It's like LeBron analyzed the chessboard and said, if I can't beat you with grit, I'll just out-recruit you and stack my team until losing is mathematically impossible. That is not how you build a legend, Wallace insisted, and you could see the disappointment on his face. Real legends are forged in the fire when your back is against the wall. You have zero help, and you still find a way to rip the heart out of the opponent. It's about facing the doubt and proving the world wrong. LeBron, he has never truly had that solitary moment. Every time the pressure cooked up, he had an escape hatch ready. And that is the jagged pill that is hard to swallow right now, because even the most die-hard LeBron defenders can't debunk the timeline. He struggled to carry Cleveland the first time. Boom. He is on a flight to Miami. Things got stale and awkward in Miami. He pivots back to Cleveland. but only after securing a new super team roster, wins one, and then bolts for Los Angeles the second the wind changes. At every critical juncture where adversity hit the red line, LeBron found a superior situation instead of conquering the disaster in front of him. And do not think for a second that Wallace is on an island with this take. He dropped a bomb, revealing that private conversations with other vets from the 90s and early 2000s all sound exactly like this. "We all see it," he said. "We just don't all grab the microphone because everyone is terrified of the backlash and the media spin. But me, I don't care. The truth is the truth." And the truth, according to Rasheed Wallace, is that while LeBron's talent is alien, his legacy will forever carry a massive asterisk next to the title count. Not for a lack of skill, but because when the defining moment came to stand tall and fight through the mud, he chose the path of least resistance. Now, this is where the story gets incredibly suspicious. Usually, when someone comes at the king this aggressively, the clutch sports machine goes nuclear. His PR team spins the narrative, his media allies launch a counterattack, and the offender is buried. But this time, absolute radio silence. LeBron has not addressed a single word of Wallace's breakdown publicly. No subtweets, no press conference, clapbacks. He hasn't even posted one of his signature cryptic Instagram stories with the Arthur fist or some generic motivational quote about haters. He is ghost. If you have followed LeBron's career, you know that is completely out of character. Insiders close to his camp are leaking that he is genuinely rattled by this specific critique. And honestly, it makes sense. This isn't Skip Bayless or some random talking head screaming for ratings. This is a respected NBA champion, a guy LeBron likely idolized coming up, completely deconstructing the mythology he spent 20 years curating. And the internet sleuths? They found something else that makes this look even worse. Right around the time Wallace's rant started trending, LeBron quietly unfollowed a handful of accounts that were reposting the clips. That is not a coincidence, that is a tell, it's a digital admission that this commentary got way under his skin. The longer LeBron stays quiet, the louder the question becomes. Is he refusing to respond because he thinks it's beneath him? Or is he silent because deep down he knows Wallace is right? Because clapping back might just throw gasoline on the fire. Or is he plotting a nuclear option in the shadows, a masterstroke that silences the noise permanently? The tension right now is absolutely suffocating. His notifications are a war zone with millions of fans demanding he step into the ring and fight back. The media cycle is relentless, dedicating hour after hour to this explosion. Even the diehard defenders are starting to stutter, asking questions they never thought they'd have to ask. Why the radio silence? The world is watching. What can he possibly say to make this go away? Here is the brutal reality. Wallace isn't attacking the box score. You cannot defend against this with a spreadsheet or a trophy case. This cuts to the bone. We are talking about that ghostly X factor, the terrifying edge that separates a great player from a mythical god. It is about the soul of the game, not just the stats. And deep down, LeBron has to know Sheed found the one crack in the armor that no scoring title can patch up. We need to pull back and look at the bigger picture for a second. This is way bigger than just James versus Jordan. This is a battle for the heart of basketball itself. We are witnessing a violent collision between two incompatible religions of greatness. The old school code, the one Wallace is preaching, screams that greatness is born in the mud. It is about taking a broken situation and forcing a win through pure psychotic will. It is about suffering for your city, staying loyal when it hurts, and slaying your monsters instead of trading them. Jordan lived that. Kobe died for that. Even guys like Dirk Nowitzki built their legends on that hill. Then you have the modern doctrine, where greatness is about supreme optimization. It is about viewing your career as a business, making cold, calculated moves, and engineering the perfect environment to win. It is the era of the super team, player control, and refusing to rot in a losing system. LeBron wrote the blueprint for this, and now the whole league follows it. Neither side is technically wrong, but Wallace is dropping a hard truth. These two paths do not command the same level of reverence. Respect is not a gift, he doubled down later. It is a paycheck, and you have to earn it with blood and sweat. You have to grind for it. You cannot just assemble a legacy in a boardroom meeting. And now, the locker room legends are picking sides. Some are standing shoulder to shoulder with Sheed, relieved that someone finally had the courage to speak the unfiltered truth. Others are shielding LeBron, screaming that athlete empowerment is evolution, But let's be real, this isn't a debate anymore. This is a full-scale generational war. And trapped in the crossfire is LeBron James, the visionary who revolutionized the sport but might die chasing the ghost of the man who flew before him. So, where do we go from here? What happens to the King's legacy as we push deeper into 2025? The answer is uncomfortable. Rasheed Wallace just voiced what millions have whispered for years but were too scared to say. It is not that LeBron lacks greatness. It is that his greatness feels synthetic. It feels engineered, strategic, and corporate. To the purists, that will always keep him one step below the undisputed GOAT. Michael Jordan's mythology is primal. He won because he wanted it more, and he physically destroyed anyone in his way. No excuses, no recruiting rivals, no shortcuts, just raw, unadulterated dominance. LeBron's story is a complicated web. He won by outsmarting the system. He treated his career like a chess match. He seized power, but somewhere along that road, he lost the narrative that guys like Wallace worship. The story of the lone wolf surviving the winter. Can these two sides ever shake hands? Do not bet on it. You cannot fix a philosophical fracture this deep with a PR statement or a podcast appearance. This is a fundamental split on the definition of glory. And in the NBA, these feuds are immortal. Look at the MJ versus LeBron argument itself. It has been raging for over a decade with zero ceasefire in sight. The real mystery is whether James pulls the trigger on a response. Does he confront this head on, or does he try to bury the criticism with another banner? And honestly, even if he claps back, what words could possibly change the mind of a man like Wallace or the millions nodding along with him? The most terrifying part for LeBron, Wallace never said he wasn't talented. He never questioned the skill. He said something far more damaging. He implied that no matter how many points he piles up or how many rings he collects, he will never sit at the same table of respect as Jordan. That is a scar that never fades. I need to hear from you right now. Did Rasheed Wallace cross a sacred line, or was he just the only one brave enough to keep it real? Is LeBron's boardroom approach valid, or does it permanently disqualify him from the throne? Blow up the comment section with your hottest take. Do not censor yourself. And if you think this is spicy, wait until you hear the whispers coming from other NBA legends behind the curtain. We are exposing that next. Trust me, you cannot afford to miss this. If you are still watching, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell. We are dropping the raw, uncut truth that the mainstream networks are too scared to touch. I'll catch you in the next one.